You can't control what other people do, but you can control what you do. If you let them upset you, you are giving away your power. You are letting them control you. The scripture says God has given us the power to remain calm in times of adversity. You don't have to let the same things keep upsetting you. Quit telling yourself, I can't help it. They just know how to push my buttons. Try a new approach. Decide ahead of time that you're going to stay in peace, and you'll tap in to that power to remain calm.
The level of battle you face is an indication of the level of blessings that you stand to receive.
We've all been through disappointments and setbacks. Life happens. But instead of remembering the hurt, the pain, what didn't work out, the key to reaching your destiny is you have to remember your dream.
The idea that for us to grow, we have to leave our old self behind. This is how it goes. I'll be prepared for tomorrow. But knowing that we have everything we need to make the transition, this losses become lessons, that failures become the data points and mistakes become which becomes our clarity.
Whatever position you find yourself in today, we put ourselves there by a series of thoughts and actions. Thoughts turn into things. That's very important to know.
We are going to make it or break it based on whether we can provide products to higher education and services and relationships to higher education that no one else provides. And I think we ought to spend 100% of our time thinking about that. And if we can't do that, then we ought to go broke.
If you have a constant association of people who can better your life and better your lifestyle, you can't believe the progress that you can make. Mr. Shoaff shared with me when I first met him when I was 25 years old. He said, Jim, to do better, you've got to get around the right people. I have a good phrase for you. Never mistake the power of influence.
You will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you. But after you go through it and you get back and you look at it and you say, oh, now I understand why I needed that lesson. Have it ever happened to you? Raise your hand. Has it ever happened to you that I couldn't understand it then? But after I got through it, then I saw that was preparing me for bigger and better things.
Every victorious person has felt it, the urge to quit. Don't you give up on your dream. I don't care if you don't have the money, you don't have the help, and you don't have the family for it, and you don't have the background for it, and you don't have the friends for it. Don't you give up on your dream. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. It may take you twice as long. You may have to take courses and classes. You might not read as fast. You might not move as quick. You might not have as much. But don't you quit.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up.
We tend to place too much value on to know the things we understand the cyclical nature of a day-to-day that is as much as life can be predictable and determine characteristics that are actually antithetical to growth. One could make an argument that in this incredible day and age of information our need and ability to know often comes at the expense of true transformation. Nothing so powerful as that.
You may have big dreams, but nobody is noticing you. Don't get discouraged. It's because God has you hidden. You are in a time of preparation. God is getting you ready for what He has in store. You will come into a time where God causes you to be seen. Just as God hid you, He will bring you out into the open and cause you to go where you couldn't go on your own. When God brings you out, He will catapult you forward.
It's for people that are trying to hop their way back home. Come hell or high water, doing the best they can with what they got. That's who we are, doing the best we can with what we got. And we may not break any ribbons and we may not get any trophies, but if we can learn how to hang on in there, we'll be all right. I will not lie to you, I feel like going on. But I have seen days I did not want to get out of bed, didn't want to put on clothes, and didn't even feel like brushing my teeth. I've seen days so dark that I just want to keep driving, and I didn't even care where I ended up or what you called me. They came, and they passed. And they came to pass. I kept.
It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere.
Before you give up, you stop and ask yourself the question, does this fit who I am? And this message is all about, listen, it's all about keeping on. And that is to have the courage to keep on keeping on. And if you will listen carefully and apply these points that I'm going to lay out before you, you don't have to give up and quit. There is an answer and a solution to what God wants to do in your life at this point, no matter what it is.
You have been robbed of your destiny. If he gets you to never follow your dream, he robs you of your destiny. When you have thoughts that are negative, that's not God. That's Satan. You got to get focused, man. You got to understand that this hard time that you're going through prepares you for the life God has for you. All the hard times, everything you ever thought you would not make it through, you got past it. Now, if you're currently going through something right now, guess what? You're going to get past that too.
So don't be lazy now in acquiring life experience, translated to consciousness, translated to ideas, put in your journal, put in your heart, put in your soul. Getting it is vitally important.
I believe that the price for a full life is mistakes. Mistakes are the price for a full life that you have to pay if you learn from them. I believe that hell wants to maim you and mock you with your mistakes.
When it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work and it's a lot of worrying constantly. And if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion.
University of experience, of life. The idea of the thinker and the doer. The thinker that absorbs and contemplates, weighs one option versus another and another, exhausting time sufficient for the doer to fall on her face twice, pick up the pieces to make necessary changes and be on their way. Please do watch our other motivational videos on the screen now. See you in the next videos.
You are responsible for your life. And if you're sitting around waiting on somebody to save you, to fix you, to even help you, you are wasting your time because only you have the power to take responsibility to move your life forward. And the sooner you get that, the sooner your life gets into gear.
Here's the truth. This is the reality, okay? Nobody's going to believe in you until you've already done it. Nobody's going to come and celebrate with you until you've already done it. The work is going to come before the belief, which means you're going to have to work for a long fucking time by yourself with no applause, with no awards, with nobody telling you good job. And then once you start to build something and people start to see the momentum and they start to see the result and you start doing some things, then you're going to get a little belief.
And the common denominator of failure is blaming something else. In the height of the recession, we all blame the recession. We blame Congress. We blame the president. We blame Greece for a while, right? The euro was killing some bar named Joe's Bar in Toledo. We blamed everything but ourselves. But yet if you think about it, in the height of the recession, somebody was making money. Why not you? So if you didn't blame the recession, if you blamed yourself, you might have acted differently. You see, every day you wake up and blame somebody else is a day you don't have to do anything about it. If you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you say, I'm failing because of me. Even in sight of the recession, even in existence of the various problems, construction in my street, competitive environment, new digital world, meat prices are high. No matter what, you can make money. Look in the mirror and own it. I'm failing because of me. And don't allow any excuse to get involved. You won't like it. And if you don't like being a failure, then that day you're going to do something differently. And the next morning, wake up and say it again until you can look at yourself and say, I fixed it. Own your failure, and then you'll own your success. This is all about self-accountability. If you take that accountability and push it aside and put it on your employees, your boss, your rent, your utility costs, anything other than you no longer have accountability, and you skate free, and then you're on a path of failure.
Nobody is going to cry for you. They have their own tears. One thing I'm positive about is how ROI negative complaining is and how much I'm trying to suffocate the practice of it. I really have been fascinated by people that have changed their mindset into understanding that everything that is not going well right now is their fault. It has been remarkably important to me in understanding that everything that I'm not happy about is on me. It's a remarkably interesting brain twist. The amount of energy spent on things that you can't control versus being accountable to what you can control has been a huge separator for me in the last 4 or 5 years as I've dug deep.
Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity. Accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you've passed from childhood to adulthood. The day you accept full responsibility. And another note, learn to reap in the fall without apology. Without apology if you do well, and without complaint if you don't. That's maturity.
Only you can save you if you don't accept full responsibility for your life. No resolution, no goal, no dream will save you. You must take full responsibility for your life, for the good that arrives, and the ugly and inconvenient. If you are the type to play the blame game, to play victim, bad things always happen to me. I'm not where I want to be because of this person or because of this event. If you are this type of person, you will never get on in life.
The decisions you make right now is up to you. You crying about something that happened to you when you was a kid. You ain't even no kid no more. You a grown man. Take full ownership. The stupid stuff you doing, your parents didn't make you play no video games. And what you crying about? So what, your daddy wasn't there? Your mama ended up getting married. What you crying about? He went to work every day. He never beat you. He never abused you. Your mama did the best she knew how to do. What you crying about? You grew up in a house. What you crying about? Till somebody beat your butt because you did something you wasn't supposed to do? What you crying about? Nobody just came home and started whipping you. Man up.
Well, what are you leaving out if you're leaving out responsibility? And the answer might be, well, maybe you're leaving out the meaning of life. That's what it looks like to me. It's like, here you are, suffering away. What makes it worthwhile? Right? You know, you're completely out. You have no idea what it's almost impossible to describe how bad an idea that is. Responsibility. That's what gives life meaning. It's like lift a load. Then you can tolerate yourself, right? Because look at, you're useless, easily hurt, easily killed. Why should you have any self-respect?
You know, if you're going to exist as a leader and as a human, then you need to take responsibility for what happens around you. And that's, again...
Yeah, you have to take, well, the religious notion in some sense is that you have to take ultimate responsibility, in that, in some sense, the things that happen around you, something like every man is responsible for everything that happens to him and everything that happens to everyone else. But there's a level at which that's metaphysically true, you know, because what happens is that it's failure to act often that's the most catastrophic. It's to not do the right thing when the situation presents itself. And it's very specific. You know, you're constantly in situations where you could do the right thing if you were willing to take a risk that's actually of relatively moderate size. And you know that you could take the risk, and you know that you should take the risk, and you don't. And that happens to people all the time. And then what happens is the thing that they didn't oppose grows a little bit, and they shrink a little bit. And that starts a loop, hey?
Taking responsibility for whatever happens to you. Knowing that you have consciously made the decisions that are now affecting you. Knowing that what is happening now, today, is the direct result of your activity, what you did yesterday. Self-reliance means counting on yourself, trusting yourself, being confident with yourself, being responsible to yourself, trusting your own instincts, trusting the conclusions that you have developed from your study of experiences and philosophies, taking the credit that is due you, learning from the mistakes that you have made.
You have to begin telling yourself a different narrative. And the narrative you tell yourself about yourself is everything. And once I switched my narrative to being the learner, it didn't matter where I started, it only mattered where I was trying to go. And as long as I had that clarity, then I could execute, because I believed I could do anything I set my mind to without limitation.
Chẳng được quên khi cơn mưa đêm lại về. Em đã quên lời thề và ta như đông chìm sâu. Không còn mới em anh nhận màu. Em chỉ cần mơ đâu em bay. Chỉ còn là những cơn mưa vô giá. Cho bên mưa em không mơ hay nhẹ. Anh một đêm mơ chỉ cần bên em không được cơn nhớ. Và chỉ có em không muốn nhớ. Và người ta bên nhau như ngã tớ. Muốn nhớ về say em chỉ có mấy em ở đây. Và nhưng không muốn em mơ mày. Tình yêu làm cho ta đau đầu. Không em như mà mơ mộng. Anh như đeo mong cầu. Và mưa bên em u sầu. Chào các bạn mai em mơ. Chỉ có bên em nhưng đừng có mơ. Mà đã ra em muốn bên ai. Anh không mong gì hơn. Chỉ mong em sẽ ở đây ôm anh thật gần. Anh chỉ mong đôi ta được có nhau. Mà đừng em đâu anh có em. Một đêm bên anh có em. Ta sẽ trao nhau môi hôn thật sâu. Ôm anh cứ nữa bằng gâu. Và em chỉ nằm đâu. Anh không muốn em ở đâu đâu. Một cơn gió thứ anh không mơ cầu. Mà không đôi anh mà bên giờ. Anh chỉ là my friend. Em quên đi bao lời hứa. Quên đi cả những ngày xưa. Anh như là một đứa. Em không còn một chưa. Mà đừng ở đêm ở đêm. Anh như một đôi mà kem. Không như là ba trên thêm. Cho em nhiều hơn như là kem. Chỉ cần là mưa thôi. Em chỉ cần là mưa thôi. Còn ai sẽ là nắng rồi.
head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough, nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough, nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. It sucks when you finally feel like giving up. Oh God, no luck, everything feels like you're sticky stuck. I'm lost, handcuffed to the bed where I sleep, don't give a fuck. Can't stop, unplug, feeling overwhelmed, I think I've had enough. Gotta find a way to get some energy, gotta find someone who's a good friend of me. I need purpose to make it all worth it, I'm still searching and I'm still learning. I want a life that's filled with memories, not a life with regret and frenemies. I need focus to keep me from hopeless psychosis if I keep moping.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear.